Today we are in a 2026 Chevrolet Equinox LT or 2LT front wheel drive. We're gonna do a highway range test. I'm gonna plug it into the supercharger. Although, quick side note, I will say, GM, the charge port location is terrible. Why would you put it on the front left if it's not on the very front corner? We're at, what are we? We're at 66% state of charge. Chevy Equinox 2026 range 280. I have a next adapter, yes. Charge your other EV, there we go. What are we at, 1A? 51 cents a kilowatt hour. Start. Now it reaches. There it goes, it beeped, which means it's charging. Initializing. Before we go back inside, I'm gonna do a little side tangent. This is a very low voltage vehicle, and what I mean by that, it's only like a 290 volt nominal battery, which means it only pulls 150 kilowatts, but it's pulling 500 amps. Get that 150 kilowatts, which is a lot. So the charging curve probably won't be super great, but let's see what we're pulling. We're pulling 90 kilowatts, at 66%. So we're gonna let this charge up to full. All right, we just crossed over 75% state of charge. We're pulling 71 kilowatts. So the curve doesn't actually seem too bad. That seems like a pretty usable curve. You got to remember that since this is such a low voltage pack architecture, that's probably still pulling a ton of current. So I don't know if we would have charged from down low, like let's say 10% or 20, if it would still be pulling 71 kilowatts, because it would have been heat soaked from all that current coming in. See here, the car is getting 70 kilowatts, but it actually wants 76 kilowatts, but I think 6 kilowatts is probably going to battery cooling or whatnot. So yeah, I'm gonna set up the live stream and then we will reset the trip. We got to do tire pressures, that's important too. All right, let's get some stuff going here while we top charge the battery. All right, just above 80%, we're at 83% state of charge, pulling 52 kilowatts. So the curve is still decent at these higher states of charge. So the Equinox EV has a roughly 85 kilowatt hour NCMA battery. So it's got manganese and aluminum in it. GM claims 85 kilowatt hours is usable, but independent tests have seen closer to 90 kilowatt hours can be pulled out of it. We're not gonna go all the way until it stops moving because I don't have a recovery vehicle. We're gonna go to about 3% because the car shuts off at 0 to 1. So we'll extrapolate that out at the end and we'll include that in the final number. It's using the Ultium modules, but it's only the 10 module pack, which means that the nominal volt is only like 290 volts, which is really low voltage. So this is one of those cars that would actually benefit getting to chargers at 15 to 20% because you'll have a little higher voltage. That way you can get more charging speeds, still pulling that 500 amps. Tire pressures are gonna be set to the door placard rated, what is it? 42 PSI cold. It'll actually be a little bit higher than that. Tires are warm from driving here, so it'll be probably 44 to 45 PSI. Pulling 44 kilowatts at 85% state of charge. It says our current range is 276 miles, but that's a guessometer. Over here it says we would get 319 miles at 100%, which is what the EPA range rating of this car is. We'll see how accurate that is. Like I mentioned, we're not gonna go all the way till the car stops moving. We're gonna get down to probably 2 to 3%, and we'll call it good there. I have my little Fantic tire pressure thingy, my bob, whatever you call it. And we're gonna pump these up to 45 PSI because it's supposed to be 42 cold, but we've been driving for probably 60 miles. Screw that on. Speaking of which, while we're down here by the tires, we're running a Michelin Primacy all season. 40, go up to 45 PSI. We're at 41 right now, so we'll give that some time and we'll air up all the tires to the proper pressure. It is what it is. All right, 87% state of charge. We got 40 kilowatts going into the battery. The screen's kind of hot. That's one thing I don't like, is that the screens get a little warm. There we go, 90% state of charge, pulling 32 kilowatts. They're like a charging, max battery capacity is 100, so that's good. Fast charge prep, that's just when I move the car around to get it. I'm not sure if it shows how many kilowatt hours put into the battery. I know I can see that on the actual, like if I go to the Tesla charging app, then it'll show me that, but yeah, I'm not quite sure. I don't think it shows it in here. It just says fast charging. I wish it would say like how many kilowatt hours you put in, how many miles you added. All right, we're at 97% state of charge, pulling 15 kilowatts. I will say that the AC has stopped functioning as well. I think it's trying to cool the pack off, so it's limiting climate performance. We're going to run the climate control set to 68 on automatic. I also went into the auto fan speed setting and I set it to low instead of medium or high just to get the most efficiency. And we're gonna turn the rear climate off. I don't think there's an there is an eco climate setting right here. We're gonna have that turned on. The temperature is 90 degrees, so it is a warm day. We're gonna go out through Athens. We're gonna go on the 175 this way, through Maybank Camp. We're gonna go all the way to right around here. Probably gonna turn around at this turnaround, and then we're gonna come back this way, and then we're gonna turn around roughly here, and then go and do that loop a bunch of times until we're low. And then we're gonna come back to Athens, plug in at 2 to 3% state of charge, and that's gonna be our range number, and we're gonna extrapolate out that final 2%. We're not gonna run heated seats or anything like that. We're gonna have cruise control set to a GPS verified 70 miles an hour. I'm going to set the drive mode normal, there we go. Drive mode, normal, one pedal drive, set to normal. I could set it to high, but it doesn't really matter. All right, we just hit 100% state of charge, still pulling 10 kilowatts at 100%. So it's got 5 more minutes, it says, to fully calibrate. 13 mile an hour from the south, and it's gonna hold pretty consistently. It says wind speeds are 7 to 14. So not ideal, but it is what it is. It's real world, so there's gonna be variables. Dipping down to 9 kilowatts. All right, charging is completed. We are at 100%. We gained, oh, it does say how much range we gained. So we gained 110 miles. Let's go auto, 68 degrees. On automatic, tire pressures are set. Let's go here and go to vehicle status, tire pressure, 45 PSI. We're gonna reset trip 1 and trip 2, why not? We check the wind. We're gonna verify our speed once we're out there. So let me unplug from the charger and click stop. All right, charger is unplugged. We're gonna hop on the highway. It's just down there. Set our cruise to 70, close the charge port, session. Into reverse. One thing I don't like about the Equinox is that it creeps in reverse, but it doesn't creep in drive, which is a bit inconsistent. I don't know why you would do one and not the other. All right, into drive here. Trip is reset. Climate is on 68 degrees automatic, although it still is blowing fairly hard for being on automatic, I will say. We'll head over this way, jump onto the highway, lock our speed at 70 mile an hour GPS, verify with this thing. Which is running. Oh, you started logging it?
Yeah, right as we left.
Very, very quiet turn signal. I can't even hear it. And regen is set to normal, although I can increase it by pulling the little regen paddle. We'll just gently get up to speed. We don't need to floor it because then it'll mess with the efficiency. It defaults to 3.5 miles a kilowatt hour. So we'll see what our efficiency is on the highway. I'm gonna guess around 2.9 to 3 would be pretty decent for such a large, heavy vehicle. This weighs about 5,000 pounds. So 3 miles a kilowatt hour, I think, is a comfortable place for this car to be. And if it can get 3 miles a kilowatt hour, that's a pretty decent amount of range, because that should be about 270 miles. It's a very quiet car at these speeds. So far we're getting 3.4 miles per kilowatt hour. Let's hop on the interstate, or not the interstate, it's not actually interstate. Yeah, it's gonna be a long range test compared to what we're used to. Last one we did was only 155 miles in the bright drop. Link in the card. Oh, regen. Although it only pulled 16 kilowatts there because the battery's so full. So it actually does, it feeds in friction brakes if you don't have enough available regen, which is good. All right, accelerating up. Just about half throttle, pulling 100 kilowatts. Get up to speed. All right, here we go. Cruise control set to 70 on here. So 70 on the car dash is in fact 70, yeah, as you can see. We are slowing down because there is a vehicle in front of us because we're on adaptive cruise. I might see if I can switch it over to manual cruise. Yeah, there we go. Manual cruise selected, set to 70. There we go. We'll switch over to time lapse. Just gonna lock in, put some miles down, see what this car can do. All right, let's hit it. We got 81% state of charge. We're just about to cross over to 80. I decided that we're gonna do check-ins every 20% because this is going fairly far compared to what I'm used to. We've done 53.4 miles and we've only used 19% battery. So that's pretty good. We're gonna turn around up here, head back. All right, we're at 80%, or 54 miles exactly, 2.9 miles per kilowatt hour. All right, we're about to head off the highway. Hop off here, regen, back in the battery. which will boost the efficiency a little bit. But in my opinion, when you're doing, I know it's supposed to be a 70-mile-an-hour constant test, but realistically speaking, if you're driving 70 the whole time, it's not going to be 70 average. So, all right, flipping around at 55 miles on the clock at 80%. All our crap's running back. Oh. All right, let's accelerate. It's all the power. This is a really abrupt turn. Let's accelerate fairly gently. Let me click resume on the cruise. Oh God, that's a Hyundai Kona. All right, there we go. All right, we've done 91 miles. We're gonna turn around again. We're at 66% state of charge. We're gonna head back towards Segoville. 2.9 miles kilowatt hour still, even though we've been going into the wind for the past 30 miles or so or whatever. Once we crest this hill, we should be able to turn around at this little thing here, whatever you call it. Blinker. All right, we're getting off the highway. To the 175 to head back toward Segoville, and then we'll probably hit that same exit again. Do you think we'll have to do this 3 times this section? Or?
Yeah, probably.
Just to test the miles. Accelerating. All right, here we go. 70 miles an hour. Resume. Get over. Yeah, we'll keep going, and hopefully this Hyundai won't pull out in front of me. All right, there we go. 100 miles traveled, 2.9 miles kilowatt hour, down to 63% state of charge. So we've burned 37 to do 100 miles. It says we got 200 miles of estimated range, although it said we had 319 when we left. So we've used 119 miles of range to go 100 miles, which makes sense because we haven't been the most efficient at 2.9 miles kilowatt hour. We've used 34.6 kilowatt hours to go 100 miles, so that is right in line with 2.9. So that's about 347 watt hours per mile. Used 8% has gone to climate, which is honestly kind of high. It is on auto. It still is blowing fairly strong though, even though it's on the lowest automatic fan setting. That'll probably drop as we do more miles because it was initially up at like 12%. Now it's down to 8. Yeah, we're just cruising at 70 miles an hour. Catch you guys later. Don't mind this cable situation. I had to plug this in. We've done 107.6 miles. We're about to hit 60% state of charge. 2.9 miles kilowatt hours, still holding very steady. We've burned 36.7 kilowatt hours. We're about to drop. There we go. 60% state of charge, 108.2 miles, 37 kilowatt hours exactly. Just gonna turn around back at Segoville, probably at, well, whatever percentage. It doesn't really matter. I was gonna say 50, but if we were only going there and then straight back to the charger, but it doesn't work like that. This route isn't that good for longer range EVs. It works great for short range stuff, but anyway. We're about to pull off the highway and flip around and do another loop. We're at 53% state of charge, 130 miles on the nose, 2.9 miles kilowatt hour still, although over the last 30 miles we've averaged 3 miles per kilowatt hour. All right, we're nearly at 40% state of charge. We went 161.2 miles at 3 miles per kilowatt hour, as you can see right there. Just about to dip to 40. So far, it's been good. Car's comfortable. The wind hasn't posed too much of a problem. So obviously there's 12-mile-an-hour wind from the south, so it's kind of a cross wind, but it's coming at us right now and it's kind of pushing us when we go that direction. So it is what it is. But vehicle status, energy usage, we've used 55 kilowatt hours. 7% of that has been climate control and 93% has been driving. So far the efficiency's been fine. There's nothing to write home about. 3 miles a kilowatt hour is pretty decent on the highway, although, oh, there you go, there's 40. 163.3 miles, 55.4 kilowatt hours. Check the tripometer and see how accurate the thingy is. It's gonna say we've been going 5,000 miles an hour, but...
Well, yeah, this says the average speed is 67, and we've gone 163 miles.
So it's a little, this underreports barely. It's like 0.1 miles under, but that's still pretty good. That's pretty accurate. Props to GM for making that really accurate, because the Maverick was way off, and we only did like half the amount of miles you see here, and it was like 2 miles off. We're about to turn around here, probably at like 36% state of charge. We'll turn around, go back that way, and then that should be the last time we go that direction. Then we'll come back and complete the range test. We'll probably get to the supercharger at 3%. I'm going to make sure that I don't navigate to the supercharger. I'm going to navigate to the gas station. That way the battery doesn't try to precondition for a charger that we want to precondition for, but we don't want to for the range test because it uses more energy. I wonder what this energy transfer means. Is that like to your house?
Maybe.
We're almost at 200 miles. We are at 28%. We're at 199.6 miles, if you can see there on the screen. 3 miles a kilowatt hour still. We are plotting our turnaround point. It says 2%. Maybe that's a little too far. Turn around there? Probably not. We'll have to turn around in Cranville, probably. But we are at 200.2 miles, 28% state of charge. Let me go to the battery screen. We've used 67 kilowatt hours, 6% went to climate. Yeah, we're gonna need to turn around shortly in order to make it back, because 2% is a little bit too low, I think, for this battery, because I've seen instances where the Equinox shuts off at 1, so a 1% buffer is a little tight. I think I'm gonna get off right here. I think that's a safe estimate, or a safe bet. So that's what I'm gonna do. Hop off the highway. We got 54 miles back to the supercharger, although I'm not actually navigating to it. I'm navigating to the gas station. 200.7 miles, and we still have 28%. So far, I am impressed with the range. I'm not sure, like I mentioned, if the all-wheel drive, it's worth it for me because I want the performance, but I don't know if it's worth it for the average person, because if you're just commuting, you don't really need the extra power, and if you live in Texas, you don't need all-wheel drive for traction purposes. So I would honestly say, since the front-wheel drive ones are a lot cheaper, that it might be better to just stick to front-wheel drive if you don't want the performance or don't need it. There's nothing wrong with the front-wheel drive performance on this. It's just nothing special. We're gonna hop back on highway. It says a 3% arrival. Why did my seat vibrate? I don't know what it detected that was important.
Tell you have low battery.
All right, hopping back on the highway, 27%. Full power. A little bit of power limit there. Only got 150 kilowatts output instead of 180. So maybe because the voltage of the battery is so low, comparatively speaking, it tapers off more than a normal EV. Anyway, we're gonna hop back on right here. Click resume on the cruise. Oh no, it says 6%.
Yeah, I was about to say, it says 6%.
What the hell?
Now.
Anyway, we can hop in between exits up on the loop if we have to, but
go the other way around Athens.
All right, we're at 21% state of charge, about to dip down to 20. We've done 219.7 miles, 3 miles a kilowatt hour still. We're gonna get to the supercharger with 5%, so we'll probably do an additional loop to get that down to 2 to 3. Here we are at 20%, let me see this. Basically exactly 220 miles from 100 down to 20, which is pretty good. I'm happy with that. I wouldn't say I'm impressed, but it beat my expectations for such a reasonably priced vehicle. We'll go to this menu. We've used 74 kilowatt hours, which is more than a 2019 Model 3 had at all, even before degradation. So I do like that GM puts big batteries and stuff, because nothing beats just having a big battery in terms of getting reliable range. Because yeah, you can be super efficient in a Tesla and get like 380 miles on the charge, but the moment it's windy or the moment it's cold, you know, you drop so much range that it's almost like you can't actually get 380 miles or whatever they're rated at. I've seen people get 380 out of them, so that's why I said that number, but you can't actually get that much out of a Tesla. So I just like that GM puts big batteries in it, because it doesn't matter what efficiency you're getting, you're going to have enough range to get where you need to go as long as you plan ahead. Now, overall, I'm just impressed with the comfort. The only thing I'm not super impressed with is the power, but I knew that going into it. So yeah, overall, great car for the money. I so far highly recommend it. Stay tuned for the full review. Actually, the review will be posted before this video, so I don't know what I'm saying. Got 3% now estimated. This number's been jumping all over the place. Like this state of charge on arrival number, it said like 2, 3, 6, 4. It was jumping all over the place. It doesn't know what we're gonna get there with. Obviously, we still have 30 miles left to get there. With 20%. Can't read. So yeah, we're obviously gonna make it, but the question is how many more miles can we squeeze out of the thing before it, well, A, goes into turtle mode, B, dies, hopefully not foreshadowing, because we don't want to run it out this time. But when we hit, or when anything pops up on the dash, we'll pick back up, but I guess we'll check in at 10%, because that seems like a good thing to do. All right, we're at 13%. I don't know if the GoPro can see that. Let me do this a little bit. There you go. 13% battery, 34 miles, 236.6 miles. We dipped down to 2.9 miles a kilowatt hour though. We were averaging 3 for a really long time, but we dropped down to 2.9. But I think when we get off the highway, or at least slow down into Eustis, we'll get that back up to 3. I think it'll give me the low vehicle battery warning at 10%, or sorry, 30 miles, not 10%. All right, so we're coming into Eustis, 12% battery, 5% estimated to the supercharger. If I give it some gas, we're only pulling 130 kilowatts of power. So we're down there in the voltage. There you go, charge vehicle soon. Alright, about to hop on the loop, 20 miles of estimated range. We've used 85.3 kilowatt hours. We have 7%. Not sure when it'll show like a red warning. Probably when you hit below 20 miles of range, I guess. Yeah, we will hit that pretty soon, I think. We're going to merge onto the loop here. We'll see what the power feels like, but I'm not expecting much. Didn't hit 110 kilowatts of regen there, only hit like 90. Maybe it wasn't going fast enough or something else on the floor. Oh, went up to 150 there. I think it drops off the power as you go faster pretty significantly. Yeah. Obviously, I don't want to floor it too much because A, that hurts the efficiency, and B, that sags the battery pack voltage when you're at the lower part. We're probably, like, the battery's probably only like 250 volts right now. It's like at basically like household voltage, more or less, like going into the breaker panel. We're at 19 miles. I guess it maybe is 15 miles?
Maybe.
I mean, that would make sense. Just cut 30 in half, potentially. All right, 250 miles exactly. How many kilowatt hours to do 250 miles? 86.2. Well, we've used 6.2 kilowatt hours going to climate. The climate's been ripping pretty hard, even though it's on auto and it's on 68. Maybe if I would have set it to like 72 degrees, it probably wouldn't be blowing as hard, but I always set it to 68 because that's a very common temperature to set it to. No turtle mode yet. I was expecting it to come on at 12, 10 to 12. Because the Polestar did that. The Polestar was like, 0 was also 0. Like, you don't want to go below 0 in that car. I think it would go about a mile below 0 and then it would shut off. We're going to keep going just to, like, an exit more right there. For some reason, I thought this was a tractor doing like 55 miles an hour. I thought he was like hauling.
What kind of motor did they put in that?
Still haven't gotten the red warning yet on the screen. It still says 5%, 15 miles.
Maybe it's when it goes under 15.
I think it goes like when you hit when you hit 14 miles of range. It's telling me to get off right here. I'm gonna go one exit further. That's not the one I'm looking for. Oh, charge vehicle now. Cruise control canceled. Now it just says low.
Oh.
At 5% and a bit. So now it's not even giving me miles. It just says 5, and we have turtle mode. Yeah, it's definitely limited power. 120 kilowatts is all I got there. We'll head back on the highway. We'll go left. Yeah, so 5% I feel like is kind of like your cutoff for road tripping because you can't re-engage cruise below 5%. Oh, there was, but we're going to the turn lane. It's fine. All right, here we go. All right, back on the highway. I'm gonna have to hold it at 70. Still's got enough power to accelerate. It is in turtle mode, it says right there, but it's flashing. Yeah, it says 3% estimated arrival. We've went 254.3 miles. Now. I think this is a safe place to call it. So we'll just calculate the whatever we get there with. If we get there with 3, then we'll just say if you ran it all the way out with an additional 3% margin, that's how many miles you go. Pulling off here. All right, I need to go left. So I wish this LPG truck would move. Not a ton of power at this low charge level. That's flat out. It's pulling 130. Oh, but it's fading. Like that's on the floor right there. You still can maintain highway speed if you wanted to. Not sure about at below this percentage though. Like at 2, I don't know if you'll be able to. And I've seen people with Equinox EVs that where it'll shut off at 1. So I wouldn't push it below 2. Keep it above 2. 2 is like the bare minimum amount that I would drive with, or arrive with, I meant. I would not drive with 2. That would be bad. There we go. Pulled 115 kilowatts of regen. So when we plug in, we should get that? I don't know. We'll figure that out. There.
I hope.
It's freaking AC is freezing me out. It is colder than 68 in here.
For sure.
How many kilowatt hours have we pulled? Vehicle status 88.2. So maybe it is 90. Maybe it is 90 kilowatt hours. Sitting here for forever. Come on. Throttle's like really unresponsive right now. All right, anyway, we're pulling in. 256.6 miles, 2.9 miles per kilowatt hour. Here's our energy used. If you can zoom in on that with the camera there. 88.2 kilowatt hours. So I think you could probably pull 90 out of it. It's probably a 90 kilowatt hour pack, which is pretty large. All right, let's plug this thing in because we're at 4%. And yeah, that'll be the end of, well, not the end of the video, but it's the end of the range test. So let's, oh, I just smashed my hand on the camera mount. So I don't like reverse creep. GM, fix that. Or at least make a setting to fix it, to turn it off. I don't like reverse creep. I do like the front camera though. That makes it very convenient to do this. There we go. So we did 256.7 miles, 2.9 miles per kilowatt hour. So if 256.7 is 96%, what's 100?
So 256.7.
Well, divided by 100. So divide it by 96, then multiply by 100.
So
256.7 divided by 96, then times it.
Yeah, that seems right. 267.
Yeah, 267.9 miles if you ran it all the way out to where it actually stopped moving. But we only did 256.7, and this was with a pretty decent amount of wind, fairly decent amount of climate usage. I mean, it is on auto, but you can can see, it's blowing pretty hard, and it's pretty hot out. It's like 94 degrees. So I think in ideal conditions with better wind, you could probably see 270 out of this. And if you were a little bit more frugal with the climate control, because climate uses 6.8 kilowatt hours, then you could probably stretch it to 280 or 290 on the highway, which I honestly think is way more range than I think most people need. Anyway, low battery.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. Let me grab this and then we'll plug in. All right. It actually says we can still do 11 miles on 4%, which is weird because it doesn't say that when you're driving, but it does when you're parked. So I don't know what's up with that. I'm not going to close that all the way because I don't want it to actually say lack of key in it at all. Although I don't know why it would. Charge port, adapter, in. Let's charge it up to Tesla. Charge your other EV here.
Dunk.
Wait for it to go beep.
I think that's the lock.
That's the charge port lock.
Oh.
There you go. All right, let's see what we're pulling now. All right, so we are ramping up to, it's requesting 133 kilowatts. But remember, since we're at such low state of charge, the voltage is super low. So it probably is pulling the full 500 amps, I would guess. Yeah, it turned off the Wi-Fi hotspot, but it's fine. Charge cord connected. We're charging at 136 kilowatts. So from basically bottom voltage, that's not too bad. That's livable. So, but I think it would benefit you to arrive with more state of charge for sure. So we'll see how this charges up to about, I mean, it is tapering already, but we didn't precondition. Think about that too. So yeah, I gotta go to the bathroom. So I'm gonna end the live stream. Thank you for the guys who tuned in. Wi-Fi hotspot works excellent because that's what that was connected to. And we did say that we pulled 88.2 kilowatt hours out, and that was with 4% left. So you probably still have a good amount of capacity left in there. It's probably like a 91 kilowatt hour battery, maybe 90, which is honestly pretty good. That's a lot of capacity for something of this price. Most cars in this price are like down in the 70s. So yeah, we're down to 71 kilowatts. I think we didn't precondition, but I think the preconditioning hurt us, or the lack of preconditioning. We're still doing better than that Bolt over there. That guy's only doing like 50. That's what the old Bolt maxes out at 44. Turn off climate control features to charge faster. Was the rear climate on the whole time? No.
On.
Well, yeah. But we checked it and there was no air coming out of it. It must have turned that on when we parked. Such a difference because it's just blowing air back there anyway. So it said charging slower than expected, turn off climate control. So if we reduce the climate, or actually if I power off the climate, I heard it go 71 kilowatts. Oh, there it goes, 75. Ramped up a little bit, 76. So maybe it does, 81. Maybe it does have the problem of climate control hampering the charging speed, just because it has to pull so much current from the charger to get, like, we're probably pulling like 300 amps right here just to get 90 kilowatts out of it. So yeah, that's a lot of current for not much charging power, just because it's such low voltage. But it's ramping back up now with the climate off. I think it's working because we had the AC on, and it is a heat pump, and it does like a heat transfer, heat scavenging, so it couldn't actually like warm up the battery enough. But now it seems to be, or maybe it's trying to cool the battery off. I don't know. Now we're back up to 103 kilowatts, which is a lot better. It sucks that you can't run climate and it charge at full power, but the AC compressor is, she's spinning. She's like here. So if I turn this back on, does it immediately drop? Yeah, I think it doesn't like it when you leave the climate running. So my suggestion is, if you're arriving at a low state of charge, go into the store and shut the car off for like 10 minutes and let it get charged up a little more to where the AC can actually maintain the charging power, because you can see it's dropping pretty steadily. And if I power off the climate, I guarantee that number will either stop dropping or increase, which it did stop dropping. But let's go to the battery menu. Yeah, there we go. Now it's increasing again. So if we go to charging, yeah, here you go. You can see it's requesting more power as the battery cools down. I mean, it is fairly warm out, so that doesn't surprise me. It says it's going to take an hour 30 to fully charge, but we don't need to fully charge again. We'll probably charge up to, honestly, 20 is probably enough. All right, we just charged enough to unplug, although I'm going to get an additional thumbnail just in case. All right, time to unplug. Charged for like 10 minutes. It did thermal throttle at the beginning because we didn't precondition, so yeah. Close the way oversized charge port flap. There you go. It says we got 60 miles range. Turn the climate back on probably so I can breathe. All right, so that'll be the end of the Equinox EV range test. We did the math and we think if we would have ran it out, we would have got a 267 mile result, which is pretty good for a vehicle that starts at $35,000, which this does. And you can find them cheaper than that with dealer rebates and off-lease deals. But we actually did 256.7 because we didn't run it all the way out. We went down to 4%. But the range actually seems really good. Charging, not as good, but still decent on the charging aspect. Anyway, so that'll be the end of this video. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe and do all that jazz, and we'll see you all next time.